Are you willing to do anything to get your tank model working in UE5? If you are desperate enough, Ben's going to show you how to use his kludgy blueprints to make those caterpillar tracks pop. Feel free to modify, tweak, and share the blueprint, code, but only if you share it freely with the UE5 community. See the links below, and thanks for watching.
Okay, how to get those tanks working in UE5. This is the one you've been waiting for. So if you followed some of my last tutorials, you would have seen that we can get those vigilante tanks and any of those fully rigged assets into UE5 just by making a blank 4.27 project and then moving them through the file system. So here we are, we've got our vigilante content here. But I mean, if you've been watching, you will have already known that there is a problem with these vigilante tanks in that they only have one track material. So for this, I just have to warn you that for this tutorial, you need to follow one of the previous tutorials and create an extra material for the tank tracks for these vigilante free assets. They're totally awesome. It's totally worth it. Go ahead and take a look. Okay, so that's prerequisite. Now, I'm going to create a new folder here called tank tutorial. Okay, and I'm going to just add the tank that I modded, just like I showed you before. I'm going to add that tank that I modded the tracks. Okay, I don't need to create a do not need to create a new material. Okay, import all. Okay, so this is the modded tank. All I have to do is kind of set it up with its new materials. But I also, to get this tank working, like driving, we can't use the Off-World Industries plugin anymore because that one used PhysX and UE5 uses Chaos vehicles. So it's a different movement component. But in the description, I've created a blueprint for you guys. And also there's cut and paste for the anim blueprint. And I'm going to show you how to install everything like properly. So go ahead, mod the vigilante tanks like you're supposed to, and then download this one. It's called Ben's UE5 tank blueprint, and then as well this anim cut and paste.txt. So download that and that. That's what I need. I will download them to my desktop. And this one as well to my desktop. Okay, good. So here they are right there. See? Now, the best way to go at this is just open up your file system and make sure you know where all your UE5 projects are. So what I gotta do is just open up this zip file. Just go into your project that you're working in, put it into the content folder, okay? That's the blueprint that I provided. So you're gonna see in here, you should see right away when you do that, it's right there. So there's a few classes here, okay? And there's also these master materials. So these master materials will be what's going on to get the textures on here. So and then I've also downloaded that tank as from the vigilante content in Unreal Marketplace. So like, we just need to get the textures. Go into master materials, and then this is the body of the tank. Okay. Got control space, right? We'll bring up your content drawer in any of these things. So that's pretty handy. You should be able to drop your material right in there. So that's the let's see, albedo map. So for the body, so let's just put this there. And then this reflection map. It's this yellow one here. And then the normal map is this guy here. Okay, save that. Okay, now let's do the same thing for this track material. So this is the albedo for the track here. This guy. And then we've got the reflectance map for the track, and then normal map for the track. Again, I'm pressing Control Space to get this content drawer up every time. Save that. Okay, these may be easier if we create a material instance for each one of those. Okay. Now go into your skeletal mesh. Okay, skeletal mesh right here. Go to asset details. Now remember, we modded this, so if you have an unmodded version, you haven't done it correctly because you should have 3 materials here. You need to do the mod yourself by following the tutorial that I've kind of linked down below. Okay, so here's the materials. Press Control Space and oops, let's go up to, it's under Ben's UE5 tank blueprint. You've got these master materials that we need to use. You need to use these master materials, I mean, just this track, because that's what's going to enable my custom blueprints to kind of work with this tank to make the tracks move. Okay, there we go. So I've moved those material instances that we created into the material slots. And we got our tracks back. Okay. Now, this is going to be quick, don't worry. Just double click the chaos tank blueprint that I provided. Oh, okay. Yeah, here. If you get this message, it's because the plugin is not enabled. You need to enable the chaos vehicles plugin. So again, what I just did to go into the plugins, edit plugins, chaos vehicle plugin. Here it is right here. Enable that. Yes. Okay, have to restart, save everything. I'm going to save the level as tank map. Okay, and it comes back fairly quickly. Now my levels disappeared, but you know what, let's just go into the project settings and make sure that that level loads every single time. Just click map under the project settings and then make sure your default map is tank map. Okay. And if you just want to open up that map, it should be under the content folder. Just open it up real quick. Okay, there it is. Okay, I think this is just a static mesh, so I'm going to just delete it. And going to go here, the chaos tank. Open that. This is my custom blueprint. It looks like spaghetti code. Looks like there's like might be a problem or two. Event that provides the current value of move forward. Just once per frame when input is enabled for containing. This is warning. Oh, because okay. So there's spaghetti. It works, but you have to also have the proper inputs configured. So like, let's go tear this out, put it beside the tank map. Okay. And go into project settings, input. Okay, action mappings. Okay, so for this blueprint, you need an action map to one called hand brake. Okay, and it needs to be, well, it doesn't need to be mapped, but I mapped it to spacebar. And you need an axis mapping. Two. One is called move forward. Forward. It should be just like that. Move forward. And then W at 1, and then add another one. Should be S. And then -1. I think it's one that, otherwise I might have to swap those later. Okay. Now I need a second axis mapping, and this one's called move right. And obviously move right is going to be D button, add one more. It's going to be the A button for to move left, and then just make this a -1. Again, we'll check to make sure that that's the right mapping. Those two -1, 1 might be swapped around. Okay, good. Back in the KS tag, should compile. Okay, it doesn't look like there's any errors. So what we need to do is take the mesh, the skeletal mesh that we just modified. It's actually called SK West. Okay, just check the viewport, make sure it's there. Okay, it's there, good. Now, just gonna show you here that this vehicle movement component, it's the chaos movement component instead of the OWI's enhanced movement component. So there's not really a built-in tank track kind of handler. So I've kind of had to do it myself. And kind of the crux of this is that when the right and left kind of keys are input, here it is, we actually kind of send a yaw force movement to the vehicle. So it kind of spins in a kind of a flat spin kind of idea. So to enable us to do that, just make sure if you're doing this on your own, like it's already enabled as part of this blueprint, but you have to go into this vehicle movement component, and then down here under arcade control, torque control. Torque control has to be enabled, and then the yaw torque scaling has to have at least one input. That's it. And then the rest is kind of like just controlling the track's UV offset, which is done pretty commonly in any vehicle movement component. But that's kind of like the big one right there, the set yaw input. That's going to enable us to have kind of to approximate a differential steering. Okay, so I'll compile that. Just try to put this in here. So I've already done the wheels and stuff, but you're gonna see that if you kind of just drag it in right away and press play, it explodes. And that's because what's always messed up in these is this physics asset is always the thing that makes these explode. Like this is automatically generated. It's crazy. So like just click in here, press Control A, wait a minute because it's going to take forever to highlight all those. Still waiting. Still waiting. Okay. Press delete. Now go click on this show all bones. We need to go to root joint JNT, and then add a box. I always unclick this one right here. Add auto orient bones. Add bodies. Now it makes a tiny little box here. If you press F, it zooms in and you can see it's so tiny. So the easiest way to fix that is go into under primitives here and boxes under the XYZ, something around 200 seems to work. 200, maybe 300, thickness of knee or so. Okay, now I just press W so I can move this around. Just kind of has to cover the main area. It's good enough. Okay. Now you're gonna press play, and it's not gonna blow up, but you can't control it yet. That's because if you escape, you need to click that, and you need to go into this. Go into your general settings here, and under auto possessed player should be player 0, and then under the world settings, which are right here. By the way, if you don't have world settings under here, I think. Oh, here it is. Okay, right here. Should be able to access under here. But you need to override this game mode sometimes. Sometimes it helps. Press play. Should be, yeah, there you go. Tank's moving. Now, suspension doesn't work yet, but the same exact method that I've used for tutorials before works. But I have provided some Anim blueprint code for you to cut and paste. All you really have to do is right click this skeletal mesh, go to create, Anim blueprint, call it tank Anim or something that makes sense. My naming conventions are terrible. Double click that. Should be in the tank Anim. Now this, make sure that this guy, go to the class settings along the top here. There should be class settings. Parent class has to be a vehicle animation instance. Okay. Now what do we do? Well, remember this thing that you downloaded? Here's the contents of that folder. It looks like crazy, right? Press Control A, Control C, and then click inside of this blueprint animation. Press Control V. Here you go. Voila. Don't do what I did and put that somewhere else there. Okay. So connect this. Oh, there's. Chuck that in there. And at the front, should go into a vehicle. Oh yeah, it's controller. Yeah, wheeled vehicle controller. Oh, I did it twice for some reason. Okay, and then the very first one has to be a ref mesh space ref pose. Okay, so mesh space ref pose, wheel controller into this mess, and output pose is there. Okay, now if you want to understand this mess, especially kind of this part, that is the former tutorial. Basically, I'll just tell you what this does. This keeps, well, I mean, speaks for itself. Keeps the drive's wheel spinning when you do the throttle. These two do the same thing. All these ones make the track bounce up and down. And then this guy makes the actual track appear above the ground. Otherwise, if I don't have this, then the whole wheels are sunken into the track. Compile that. This should be a problem. Okay, so there's a problem there. So this track thickness, just right click it, create a variable called track thickness, and compile, and then a default for track thickness. Maybe make it 3. Probably work. Compile it again. Go to your map, press play. Okay, nothing happens yet. That's because you need to go to your tank blueprint, which is actually also located here. So into your tank blueprint. Okay, here. And then go to the mesh. Up at the top of these details section. This animation. Use animation blueprint, and then the anim class should be this tank anim. There it is right there. Okay. Compile. Tank map. Okay, here's this. I'll move this. Now, what I'm going to do is just make this more interesting. All right, press play. Get out of landscape mode. All right, tank tracks move. So there's more tweaking to do, especially within the chaos movement controller, as far as wheel traction and what else is there? Torque curves. There's lots of stuff to tweak, but this probably gets you started on those. So good luck.